Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, so you only have today, and then you have off for a couple days from your online learning. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you got outside yesterday in order to play around a little bit and get some fresh air. And the reason why I'm doing a screencast today is because there are many of you who unfortunately are not reading my full post, and so you are doing maybe not everything that you should be doing. So today, my directions are all going to come from this post. Today, Friday, March 27th, here is what you need to do for a language arts class. Okay. First of all, you're looking and you can see that we're doing a common lit article today. It's paired with what you read today. And what it is an article about Harriet Tubman. And many of you already know who Harriet Tubman is, which is going to benefit you because the article that you see here is all about Harriet Tubman. And you're going to read this article as you always do. You can see it's not really very long at all. Okay. And you're going to answer the guided questions. I know that for today's assignment, I forgot to enable the guided questions, so you didn't do them, but I'm going to make sure that I do it tomorrow. So make sure you do the guided questions. And when you get to the assessment questions, you will see that there are 5 in total, and 4 of the 5 are multiple choice. So we do the multiple choice ones. And then when you get to number 5, it is one of these short responses. And the short response says that what is the central idea of the text? Cite specific evidence from the text to support your answer. That's this right here. Okay. So I want you to realize that central idea is main idea, right? We've talked about main idea. We did a whole section on nonfiction about a month ago. Seems like even longer now, but about a month ago, we did main idea when we did nonfiction. We talked about what is the main idea of the entire section. If the author were to come in and say, hey, listen, I don't have time to read that entire article, just give me in one sentence what the main idea is, what would you say? But then you can't just say that. Okay. Too many of you are only giving me one sentence answers when you do these short responses. You must then cite specific evidence from the text to support your answer. Now, what does that mean? It means you have to give me details. If you say that the main idea is that Chinese food is the greatest food ever and is the most delicious, you must then give me support for that. You must then talk about how General Tso's chicken is better than Chick-fil-A or Popeye's chicken sandwich or anything else because it tastes so good or whatever. You must say that the rice that the Chinese restaurants hand out is the most delicious you've ever had and none other can compare. You must give me specific examples to support it. So don't just say the main idea is this and then stop. That's not acceptable. That's like a 1 point answer. You need to do a little bit more. So what I want to show you is some rules for your short responses, okay? And you can see these rules right here, okay? Here are the rules for the short responses. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at these, and here's what's going to go on. Okay, first of all, you need to write a full paragraph, 4 or 5 sentences. Too many of you are giving me one run-on sentence as an answer. Some of you maybe give me 2. But I want 4 or 5 sentences. I want a paragraph. Okay, not a long paragraph, but a paragraph nonetheless. You must also include specific examples. In the example that I just gave you about Chinese food being the best, I gave specific examples, right? I talked about General Tso's chicken being better than Chick-fil-A or Popeye's chicken sandwich or Kentucky Fried Chicken. I talked about how the white rice. I was giving specific examples, and that's what you need to do. You must also include a quote and transition into the quote to illustrate, for example, for instance, to demonstrate. Put quotation marks, copy something from the article, and then don't end with the quote, right? Because that's number 4. Don't end with the quote. Explain. Too many of you are not explaining. You're listing. When you write, you do not list, you explain. So please make sure you explain. That's where you get your 4 or 5 sentences. Finally, once you're done, and again, so many of you are not doing this, you must proofread and run spell check. There are so many of you who spell words wrong, and maybe you don't know how to spell those words. That's why there's a spell check. If it's underlined, make sure you fix it. Okay? Specifically, besides spelling errors, the biggest things are run-on sentences. Okay? Please do not have run-on sentences. And also, make sure you check for correct capitalization. Some of you don't even put a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence. Some of you are not capitalizing the word I. Some of you have random capitals in the middle of a sentence. So please check for all those before you submit it to me. Don't give me anything where I can take a point off. You want a 4-point answer? These are the things you need to do. Okay, so here are 2 examples, and I'm not going to say who wrote these, but these were written by a student, one of my students, and these are the ones for Theseus and the Minotaur, the Greek myth that you read on Thursday, at least you were supposed to have read, and these are the essays, okay? So this first one, the question is how does the author characterize Theseus? What that means is like a character trait. Now we did this, right? We did character traits of one of the novels that we read. And in this case, basically, you can see that this is not real long. This is the answer. The part that's highlighted here is the answer. So it's not like it goes on and on, or it's going to take you 3 years to do. Okay. The student writes, the author describes Theseus as being brave and courageous. So there's the thesis statement. There's not the Theseus statement, but the thesis statement, the main idea. Theseus is brave and courageous. Then we give examples. Okay, a specific example. He was not afraid to take on the Minotaur. So there's our specific example. And then we give a quote to illustrate. We transition into the quote. Here's our quotation marks, capital letter for the first word of a quote. When it is time to send the next tribute, I will go as one of them. Now, normally right here is where you would cite, put your citation in parentheses. But since this is not out of a novel, all we're going to do is we're just going to leave that blank. So you don't have to do a citation, okay? However, you do need to explain your quote, and this student did a very good example. This proves that Theseus has a great deal of courage. Goes back to our original statement where Theseus was brave and courageous. Theseus has a great deal of courage and would fight the Minotaur if it meant protecting the people. So it has everything. If we go back here and we look at all these, it's 4 or 5 sentences. It has a specific example, has a quote, transitions into the quote, doesn't end with a quote, explains how it supports the answer, and they proofread. If you look at this, there's nothing that's not the way it's supposed to be. And it's the same thing with this one. Okay. This is the second question, the one about how Ariadne, I believe that's how you pronounce it, helped further the plot. The actions of Ariadne helped further the plot because she saved his life. Now, that should say she saved Theseus's life. That's okay. Minor mistake. If Ariadne had not helped Theseus, he would have died. Okay, so she gives an example. How did she save his life? Don't just say she saved his life. How did she save his life? Okay, and it says right here. Okay, again, we transition into the quote, put a comma, capital letter, quotation mark. She threw him a great ball of string. Okay, and then she explains how that's important. This string helped Theseus get out of the maze after he killed the Minotaur, and without it, he could have never made it back home alive. So we wouldn't have had much of a plot if Theseus had been lost in the maze forever. So Ariadne, by giving him the string, furthered the plot. Okay, so again, if we go back to here, we see all of the ways in which, the person filled up the paragraph with everything that's supposed to. Okay, so when you write your short response, and there's only one today on Harriet Tubman, when you get to assessment question number 5 about the central idea of the text right here, okay, please make sure that it fits all of those categories. Finally, the reason why I'm doing the screencast today in the first place is because many of you are not reading what I type. Okay, you're kind of either asking me questions about things that I've already put in here, or you're not doing what I put in here. For example, I have some people who say that both number 1 and number 6 are short response questions that require textual evidence. Here's an example. And then I did the same thing as I just did, but I wrote it today in the stream. And a bunch of you didn't do that. It says right here, you must write at least 4 sentences for each short response, proofread. Most of you are not doing that. Then here it says, if you did not get a chance, go on the stream for Wednesday to tell me what book you're reading and which young person from the video you watched was the most impressive. Several of you did not do that yesterday. There's still a ton of you who didn't do that today. So please make sure that you're doing this because a bunch of you are not reading that, which is why I decided to do that. Finally, one final thing on this Friday is that many of you, unfortunately, did not do an assignment from March 24th. Okay, so if you have time today, I need you to go back. If you didn't do the Google Forms question, it says here are the 3 questions you should answer today. I did a screencast for that too. I don't think many of you saw it, but it's there. Okay, so if you want to watch the screencast for that, then here that is. Go to March 24th, screencast for the Google Forms question. Okay, but if you bring up the Google Forms question, you'll see that it's on pairing text, and there are only a total of 3 questions. So, and this is what we're going to do on Monday. We're going to do a paired text on Monday with the Harriet Tubman article and with the myth that you read today. So you have to be able to, get caught up and understand that this is one of the things you're going to do. All right. Anyway, that's it. We're actually at about 11 and a half minutes, which is way too long and longer than I wanted to talk. But you know me. I miss talking to you guys. I miss all of you. I hope you had a great week. I hope you enjoy your Friday. Get your work done and then have some fun on Friday and then enjoy your weekend. I do miss you very much, guys. Have a great weekend and I'll see you soon, hopefully.